Things like autism, they're not cured from weight loss. Either is anxiety, PTSD, glaucoma. What else do I have?
Do you see how quickly we're unraveling here? This video is just wild from beginning to end. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I am so happy to have you here again with me this week for all of the shenanigans. I hope you guys are ready for today's video. If you are new here and this is the first time you are seeing my face, welcome. I make weekly videos dissecting internet nonsense, so if you're into that type of thing or you like today's video, I hope that you'll consider liking and subscribing. It really helps out the channel and make sure you never miss another upload from me. Not too long ago, I mentioned that sometimes I stumble across fat activist content that is really good but ends up on the cutting room floor. It's just a little bit too out there, maybe a little bit too unhinged for me to include in a full-length video. When I mentioned that, I was fully unprepared for the amount of comments I would get asking me to dig deep into those dead, dark folders to make a compilation-style video so that you could see them. So today, we are gonna do just that. I've been deep in the files, and I went ahead and found the clips that were the most unhinged. And we're gonna start out with some that are easily digestible yet interesting before we just cliff dive, just head first into the madness. I hope you all enjoy this, and this first clip is from none other than Tess Holliday.
Okay, so funny story, I've actually never shared this, and I don't know if I'm technically allowed to, but I'm going to. Years ago, I was on the Steve Harvey show, and it was his plus size appreciation show. So it was me, a very famous comedian who I won't name just because I don't, just in case. And the audience was a plus size audience, entirely plus size. So he's asking his question, mostly about like my career and our lives, things like that. And then all of a sudden he looks at me and he said, well, you don't see too many people that are older that are your size. And of course I'm invited to be his guest. So at first I was like, what do you mean? And then I was like, oh, I realize what you're doing. And as quick as I could, I looked at him and I said, well, you must not be where I'm from. So that's the same thing I'll tell you, baby. I'm from Mississippi, Mississippi. Okay, we're not good at a lot of things, but what we are good at is being fat, okay? There's a lot of fat old folks. And guess what? I always tell people I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, and neither do you, so you can kiss my fat ass.
Tess never lets me down. There is so much to unpack here. First, we just have to talk about her proud exclamation that she's from Mississippi, and Mississippians are good at one thing and one thing only, and that is being fat. Now, I guess technically that's not a lie, because according to the University of Mississippi Medical Center, Mississippi is the fattest state in the United States, with 1 out of 3 adults considered obese. Nearly half of Mississippi's children are overweight, and children as young as 8 years old are being treated for type 2 diabetes. I feel as though this isn't something to brag about, but leave it to Tess to go ahead and try to flex on the rest of us with it, because shortly after that, saying that they're fat, she proclaims that they are here for a good time, not a long time. And you really wouldn't need a proclamation like that unless you were admitting that you understood that being obese and carrying that extra weight on your body was actually cutting your life short. So one of the reasons that I saved this is this seems like a quasi half admission that Tess knows the things she's selling are BS. All right, I told you we were going to start out pretty tame. Let me see what else I got in this file folder for you.
I just have to say that I think the fascism in the US is really working overtime. And I think the way that we treat people, the way that we talk about people, and the way that we dehumanize people is an exact symptom of how deeply rooted the fascism is around us. One of those examples is when a marginalized community comes together, gathers, talks, finds comfort in being in community, finds comfort in knowing that the people they're around get it, they understand it. When that happens and then people call it a cult or say that, you know, it's unhealthy for people to come together. That, to me, is when we know that fascism is working and we are all participating in it and giving it a bunch of airtime for free. Like, we are all doing fascism work for $0 for free. And shouldn't we be suspicious of us losing our connection to humanity? Like, why don't we care about each other? Why don't we say, wow, I see that you have a struggle. We're different. I don't understand totally your struggle, and you might never understand mine, etc. And why don't we say, but at the end of the day, we're both humans, and isn't that beautiful? And aren't we so deeply interconnected and interwoven into this fabric of life that we should be caring about each other? That to me is like the root. We have to care about each other. The more we turn to apathy, the more we turn towards not caring about another person, making a video about somebody and so easily like dehumanizing them or not seeing them as a person who deserves privacy, who deserves care, etc., we are becoming fascists ourselves. We are letting it win. We are letting it work. We got to do some critical thinking, and we have to divest. We have to divest from fascism. And I believe it's possible. It's just like, are we willing to do the work? Are we willing to see each other's humanity first and foremost?
Poof, what Fierce Fat Femme just served us right there was a whole lot of jargony word salad about fascism. And I'll be honest with you guys, I watched this video about 3 or 4 times in its entirety in preparation for this video, and her main argument, she could have done this in 30 seconds, by the way, her main argument seems to be that if you critique the fat acceptance movement, or call it a cult, as she says, that equals fascism. And what's most alarming for me here is that this person is a professor. And I don't know what her subject is, but good golly, I hope it's not history or a related field, because if it is, we are all screwed. Critiquing a movement is not fascism. And to try to make her argument stick, because I think she knows that, she did go ahead and try to throw in the fact that she thinks when people make videos about one another, that they are straight up dehumanizing each other. And she talks a lot about losing our humanity. While dehumanization is a key component of fascism, this video and her whole definition is wildly inaccurate. And this is me just being a total history nerd. Fascism is actually heavily debated in the field to this day on what it actually should be defined as. I've heard it described as trying to nail jelly to a wall. It's that hard, it's kind of nebulous, and so it's difficult for people to describe. And then on top of that, it's become this buzzword, the way we're seeing Fierce Fat Femme use it, and so it is losing all of its meaning, because people are just throwing it around left and right. Though it's heavily debated, it is widely agreed upon that there are some key markers when it comes to fascism, including a totalitarian regime or leadership, a leadership who make their followers believe that they've lost something and that that something has been stolen from them by an enemy. They then use this lie to create a new reality and convince their followers that this new reality must be fought for. The only people I've seen in this space who create an us versus them mentality are the fat activists and the fat liberationists themselves. They often go out of their way to attack thin people, specifically thin women, and they make them the other, right? The bad. And they do it all the time with their platforms. We've even seen videos of them calling thin women rats.
You're a fatphobic rat.
And they're doing all of this to prove that they are a marginalized group in an oppressive system. And that has to be getting hard to prove at this point when almost half, more than half of the US population is overweight or obese. Because it can't exist in reality that you're a marginalized group and a minority if you're the majority. Can you guys tell that we're really getting into it now? I got another good one for you.
I just want to know when we're going to have some solid laws around fat phobia. Y'all have noticed that your girl been shrinking. That's because a year ago, my PCP, who I really do like, was like, we're going to have to put you on some more medication if you don't get this blood pressure down. And I already had the diabetes type 2. So I was like, let's do what it do. And I've been really sitting in deep reflection over this over the last couple of months. And that's why I've been quiet, because I like to think about things that I care about instead of just blabbing at the mouth. If you see me take a while to respond to something, that's because I'm thinking. A lost art it is. But now that there is a cure, quote unquote, some of y'all don't know what quote unquote means. That basically means that's what people are saying, but is it true? But they're saying that Ozempic is the cure for weight loss. So now that we have a cure, fat phobia is about to get 50,000 times worse. I always try to look at fashion and see what fashion is doing, because fashion is very prolific. We are moving towards a more overtly pro-thin society, and I fear for plus-size people. So what laws are we going to have in place specifically in the medical field to help patients get proper treatment, and for the treatment not to just be focused on weight? Because as someone who has lost 80 pounds, actually over 80 pounds now, I still have a lot of the medical conditions I had before. So obviously the weight wasn't the whole problem. Yes, I have more to go for my health. You know, things like autism, they're not cured from weight loss. Neither is anxiety, PTSD, glaucoma. What else do I have? Yeah, just some thoughts.
Do you see how quickly we're unraveling here? This video is just wild from beginning to end. She starts out telling us that there need to be solid laws in place for fat phobia. And this is intriguing to me because people can't really define fat phobia. Not even fat activists have solidly defined fat phobia. So I'm curious how she expects this to be done realistically. Then immediately after that statement, she shares that she knows her audience knows she's been drinking. And the reason for her drinking is that her primary care physician told her that she would need to take high blood pressure medication to get her blood pressure down on top of her type 2 diabetes. The things that people will just openly share on the internet is absolutely bonkers to me. Then she spirals into this rant about Ozempic, calling it the cure for weight loss. And up until this point in time, I've never heard anyone call it a cure for weight loss before, but I have heard them talk about it as a treatment or as a tool to help with obesity as a chronic disease. But she is using this cure for weight loss language to justify the need for laws around fat phobia. So that's how she's making these connections. What I don't understand is that she seems to be implying that doctors are going to start force feeding Ozempic to fat people. And the big thing that she seems to be missing here is that doctors can't force you to do anything. They can prescribe medication, they can try to point you in the right direction, they can give you advice, but that doesn't mean that you have to do it. Nobody is going to force you. It's never going to be mandated. I mean, even when it comes to cancer or other treatments, people always have the option to choose a different route, and people do. That's why holistic medicine exists. It is completely 100% the individual's prerogative if they decide to take that medication or follow that doctor's advice. Because nobody has to do anything, and that doctor can't make you do that. I thought this was common knowledge, but maybe I'm missing something here, so please yell it out at me in the comments if you think I'm missing something, because this puzzle is missing a piece here. And then, at the end of all of this, she goes on a spiel again about her various health issues and says, well, weight loss isn't going to fix my autism or anxiety. Okay, cool. Nobody said that it was. I've literally never seen anyone say that. So again, I'm not sure what the point of throwing that in here was, except to tell people that you have a whole slew of medical issues. And I know I say this a lot on the channel, but you cannot make this stuff up. Like, this video was just wild. Speaking of wild, here we go. I saved the most unhinged for last. I hope you're ready. Here we go.
Is, well, you can, health at every size. That is absolutely BS. There's no such thing. Because the thing is, you have two types of fat on you. You have subcutaneous fat and you have visceral fat.
See, here's where you're definitely a bigot. You think that every single body needs to fit into the exact same mold to be healthy. Do you know who created the mold? White men. You are white, so of course it's easier for you to fit into this mold of a healthy body. Have you seen a black body? Have you seen people of color and how they hold pieces of their body differently and how fat distributes on them? Do you realize that you're going off of a BMI scale that is entirely racist and only fits one kind of person, which is you? You are so convinced that you have to be a certain size to be healthy, and it is mind-blowingly sad. I cannot imagine living in a world where I have to change my body to fit what you think it should be. That is just pathetic. In your example of how doctors are fat phobic, yeah, if you're eating that way, you're gonna have issues. You know what happened to me one time? I went to the doctor asking for antidepressants because I had been suicidal for a very long time. You know what he told me? Stop drinking soda. I don't drink soda, my guy. He didn't even listen to me. He didn't even ask how my mental state was. He just said, stop drinking soda. And your definitions of fat phobia are incorrect. Just because you Google what does fat phobia mean doesn't mean you know what fat phobia is. The fact that you're sitting here telling people who are bigger that they can't be healthy because haze is bullshit, you're a fat phobic rat. And I hope you lose even more weight. Make yourself even happier. Good for you. No one gives a shit. People like you have the white savior complex, and it is disgusting. And I will not even get into how requiring help from somebody is ableist as hell. Ableism and fat phobia are forms of bigotry. So yes, while you may not have felt healthy at your big size, doesn't mean that someone else isn't gonna feel healthy. At this point though, I don't really care because talking to people like you is like talking to a fucking wall. You're bigots. You can't change a bigot. You will always be this way. And that is sad as hell. I'm glad you're skinny though.
Oh, that smug, smug face. This clip has been sitting in my folders for a really long time just for this line alone.
Have you seen a black body?
This just left me absolutely flabbergasted, and it still does. Even rewatching it to make this video, like my mouth was just open because I can't fathom someone saying these things. And she's doing this in an effort to prove that the BMI is racist. And then she backs herself up using that classic, it was created by white men trope, so clearly it must be racist. I have a whole video already on the history of the BMI, so I'm not going to get into it here, but I will try to remember to link it in the description box down below. So if you're interested, please check that out there. What I want to focus on here is her discussion of black bodies and bodies of people of color and how they carry their weight. Because she's heavily implying that not only are they shaped differently than other races, but they tend to be fatter in general. The problem here is that there's so much evidence that directly conflicts with what she's saying. So if you do happen to check out the history of the BMI video, what you'll find is the BMI has actually been revamped a few times to take in various factors, such as people losing a limb, different races, ages for babies, elderly people. The whole thing has been redone. So that portion of her argument doesn't really hold up. But also, please just take a look at these people on my screen. These lovely, beautiful people. I'm talking Michelle McDaniel, Emmanuel Acho, Queen Latifah, Gabrielle Union. Sure, they all look different because bodies are going to look different, but they don't look like what she is describing. And this is where they always lose me, because no one is asking anyone to become a Stepford wife. Of course, we're all going to look different. Even if we all ate the same food, we would look different. They say those things. But for some reason, they still latch onto this talking point about everyone looking the same, even though literally no one is advocating for that. And if you do happen to stumble across a random person on the internet who is promoting that, please disregard them. Please, please, please don't watch their content because they're probably also a little bit unhinged. I also find this video just so rich for so many reasons. The first being her calling someone else a bigot right off the bat. but also following us listening to Fierce Fat Femme talk about dehumanization and fascism. Well, girl, here's your dehumanizer right here, because she felt so comfortable calling another human being, another woman, a rat. Maybe you should direct all your vitriol and frustration at your peers, Fierce Fat Femme. Because again, you are the only people in this space who feel super comfortable dehumanizing people, and we've just seen it. All right, that is all I have for you all today. At this point, I'm curious to know what you think. First and foremost, tell me if you liked this video, because I have more clips in the vault and I will bring them out gladly if you guys liked this. So please let me know in the comment section. What do you think about Tess Holliday admitting that she's not planning to be around for a long time? What do you think about Fierce Fat Femme misusing fascism to describe critiques of a movement? Do you think there should be laws around fat phobia? And finally, what do you think about the madness of this last video? I am genuinely curious to know, and you all always come with such great opinions and feedback. Please leave them for me in the comment section down below. And for all my introvert friends out there who may not feel comfortable leaving your opinion in an internet comment section, I see you, I feel you. Go ahead and leave me an emoji of your choice this week. Let's go ahead and just make that comment section as chaotic as these videos. As always, thank you all so much for being here with me this week. I will see you in the next one. Bye!